Hello and welcome to the Google Digital Garage. Today, you'll be joined by myself, Joe Kelly Muldoon. I've been working this project now for a few years, head up my own sort of mini digital marketing agency, and hopefully give you a solid insight in what it is to get started with analytics. Additionally, with us today, please say hello to Daryl. He'll be with us today in the comments. He'll be helping through the session, giving you some links. He's a fellow trainer, but today he's doing a solid moderating. So do feel free to say hello, introduce yourself. If you want to introduce yourself and maybe the business that you're either working on now or potentially working on in the future, this would be appreciated. It just gives me a bit of context for the session so that we can try and use your businesses as a sort of contextual development rather than just using the examples. And it keeps the session fresh, which means you'll enjoy it more, I'll enjoy it more, and hopefully you'll walk away with a few more things. Outside of that, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So first of all, if you have any issues, approximately here, you'll see the refresh button. That should be the first thing that you do. So have a little tap on the refresh button. This should sort out any audio or visual lags. Addition to that, if over here, in the top right-hand corner, it says sign in or you can't leave any comments, do feel free to sign into your Google account. If you haven't got one, you can watch it while creating one in the background. And it just means then you can get interactive, you can get involved and take as much away from today's session as possible. And then last of all, remember this is always available till tomorrow at 12 noon is a minimum. So you can rewatch this video, pause the video, play the video. But what I'd recommend would be watch this video through and then come back and watch the bits maybe that you need to make more notes on or elaborate on. Throughout today's session, it's going to be interactive. So do feel free to get some digital word paper open, get your phone out, make some notes, or go old school, get a piece of paper and a notepad and pen. But either way, take notes throughout today's session, ask questions throughout today's session. There's going to be 3 opportunities for you to be able to ask questions where there's a slide dedicated to questions 3 times throughout this presentation. So do feel free to get involved, ask questions. The more you ask, the more interactive it is. The more interactive it is, the more you'll get involved and the more you'll take away. So without any further ado, thank you everyone for coming. And remember as well, the Google Digital Garage also offers another range of courses around this. Particular ones I'd recommend around digital marketing will be writing for social media, strategy for social media. Would fit really well if you could add those onto your little section of knowledge from the Google Digital Garage. Additional ones that I'd also recommend would be get your business visible on Google. And if you are looking at getting a shop, get your shop online. YouTube for brand could be a really good one. And digital marketing strategy. So do have a look at these different ones. It could just be from today, you really enjoyed the session, you found it engaging. This is the next sort of area you could drop into. So without any further ado, we're going to crack on. So there's going to be 3 areas of today's presentation that we're going to sort of break the session down into. The first one is ask the right questions. So to understand analytics, you can't just ask it something and it comes out with an answer. We're not talking about ChatGPT here. This is analytics where there's answers to questions, but you have to understand what questions you're asking in context to be able to extrapolate the best amount of data and to be able to give you answers that are going to benefit you moving forward. The second thing we're going to go is learn which tools to use. Certain questions have certain answers require certain tools. So we're going to break this down into learn which tools to use and why. And then how can you use the data from Google Analytics to help your business grow, essentially, which then means you can use this data to help you strive moving forward at a faster pace. Before we kick into all of this, one thing I could not recommend anymore is the one-to-one training sessions available from Google. So if you go to g.co/UK mentoring, you'll have an amazing opportunity to have a one-on-one mentoring session with a Google Digital Garage trainer. You do have to be a small business in the UK or charity. I repeat the word in the UK. This is a UK-based initiative. So if you are, please go to g.co/UK mentoring or follow the link that is going to appear as if by magic from Daryl in the comments on the right-hand side, and this will give you a direct link to here. It will take 1 or 2 minutes to do. Either click on it now and leave it at the side, or do feel free to do it during this session, but I would recommend listening and getting more involved and fill that in later on. That link is going to come up later on as well at the end of the session, so don't feel like you're going to get a bit of FOMO if you don't click on it now. So the first section I mentioned was asking the right questions. So what does this mean? This means we're going through a section which is going to break down what you can actually get answers for, which means we have to understand what questions we're going to ask first. So you need to ask yourself the following questions. So do feel free to write these down as you do it. What is my objective? Essentially, this is a loose framework for what you will need from today's session to be able to get data from your analytics. The first question we're going to ask is, well, we need to define what our objectives actually are. So if you want to write this down, make notes, whatever, what is my objective? So we have to first understand what my objective is. So examples of this could be tell more people about my business, sell more of my products or services, identify my most valuable customers, and find new ways to engage with previous customers. So essentially, this is different goals that you may have, different objectives that you want to be able to achieve. You might want to do multiple at once. You might want to do one at a time. For now, for the sake of following this through, choose one. It could be that there's other objectives that you might want to follow. But this is just defining it, and it's a really good way of sort of setting out a digital marketing strategy and gives you a knowledge then around how can we take this forward. So choose one of these for now for one of your examples. Then we then need to ask the question, well, what question do I need to address? So to do this, we need to consider something called a marketing funnel. So this particular one is an acronym known as REEN. And this just means it helps you remember reach, engagement, activate, nurture. So this should be how you get every single one of your customers. So at the top, reach. Who is my target audience and how do I get to reach them online? So where do I find them? Do we get them from Facebook? Do they go straight to the website? Are we using other online marketing tools to try and find these in the first place? REEN customers are basically people who you bring through to your website. The R for reach. Engage. So now once you've got them, you've said hello, you've brought them through to you. What are you going to do once they're there? So this is sort of like, are you finding what they need on the website? And if they are, they're going to stick around and hopefully drop through to the next level in the funnel, which is activate. So are they booking? Are they going through with a call to action? And then last of all, nurture. This now means, well, how am I going to keep these customers here? How am I going to keep them coming back for more? And this is why we need to consider REEN as an option. So I would write down REEN, make some notes around this question, and this is then going to become, you need to ask yourself these questions to make sure that you are always building this structure so that it becomes a circular motion. And it could be that you get 1,000 people in the reach. You get 500 people engage. You get 100 people to activate, and 10, you're always coming back. But if you could repeat this cycle every week, every month, think about how many people are now coming back. How many people are now making a purchase? If you can get 1,000 people a month, by the end of the year, you're going to have 12,000 people come. But by the end of the year, you're going to have 120 people coming back every month. So this is why this is an amazing sort of like structure, an amazing, what would you say? Like a framework and structure to be able to use moving forward when it comes to your digital marketing. So reach questions. So this is basically the first stage, which we mentioned a second ago. So who is my target audience and how much and how do I reach them online? So first of all, a question you might want to say is, how are people finding me online? A great question. One that you need to find the answer to. So feel free to doodle this down or maybe rewatch this later on and do it. What are my target customers searching for? And again, these could be questions that you might be able to find the answer to in your analytics. These could be questions that you could even just post onto Twitter and directly engage with your target audience. But if you're starting off, we need to know what the answer to these questions are. because knowing what they're searching for means you can use these as keywords moving forwards. Knowing what they're searching for means we can optimize our site to match these keywords. And then knowing how people have found you means you can tell, well, which route have they come through? Social, search, ads, email marketing. So straight away, this is the amazing thing about analytics. Engage questions. What are people engaging with once they find me online? So what pages are they landing on? What page is the most popular? How long do they spend on my website? Which of my online communications are most people engaging with? Engaging with the most, sorry. So again, which pages of your website are doing well? Is it certain blogs? Is it certain sections? A really good example of this is if you go, for example, into analytics and look at your pages. I remember once we had a lady come into the Google Digital Garage who was selling fashion boots, I think it was. And we looked at this and went, right, well, which pages are you getting the most amount of engagement through? And she said, oh, I was getting loads on social media. And then we went, okay, let's look at the next level and activations, which are getting the least and the best. And we then looked at these information and started looking into the certain sections. But when we started doing this, we put it in order of the most amount of sales to no sales. And randomly, a pair of orange boots wasn't selling. But because she went through this task with us, we discovered that the button on the page where the orange boots was actually there for didn't work. So sometimes just by asking these questions, you're rain checking yourself. I always say you check yourself before you wreck yourself when you follow through with these questions. So writing these down, which of my online communications are people most engaging with? So are they looking at social media? Are they on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter? Again, when you look at this and you maybe see you've got 1,000 people coming to your post, going through to your pages from Instagram, from Facebook, and 100 from, say, Twitter, if you're spending equal time on these, maybe you need to consider what you're doing on Twitter doesn't match what you're doing on Instagram and change your strategy. But again, this is why we're asking these questions, so you can start to bring these statistics down. When it comes to activation questions, so which channels are driving bookings? At the end of the day, it's great that people are finding you. It's great that people are engaging with you. But at the end of the day, the bottom line, which one is driving your actual bookings? It could be that you get 1,000 people a day on your Instagram. Amazing. But you get one booking, where you could get 10 people a day on your Twitter and get 5 bookings because your actual target audience is more active, or your actual target audience actually wants to take action on Twitter, when Instagram is just an image platform. So we have to consider what activation questions you might ask. This is a great example of this. So which channels are driving your bookings? Make sure you write this down, and then we're going to go through how we can find out some of this information. And who is my customer? So now, because they've activated, analytics can pull this information down. Now someone's clicked on that button on Facebook. Now someone's engaged with your post and actually taken that next step and followed you and carried out a process, maybe signed up for something. You're starting to get more and more information. But now you can start to go, well, this is where it's driving from. This is the age of the person as an average. This is the gender. This is their interests. And now we can start to use this information sort of and flip it around and try and target this particular preference of end user, target this customer to start to build personas. I'd really recommend here as well, thinking about doing writing for social media and strategy for social media, just because they go into personas in a bit more detail than we do today. And then last of all, nurture questions. Are my customers talking about me online? Do my customers buy from me again? And that is the most important question, because you can do advertising. You can spend time on Instagram, Twitter, doing blogs, creating content that gets new people in. But your cheapest customers, once they are there, are your repeat customers. The ones who are talking about you online, your brand ambassadors, people that are basically saying, I'm coming back because I love your content. I love your products. I love your services. I've made money. You've made money. We've grown together. And that's why they keep coming back. And that's why they tell other people about you. So we're going to pause for a few questions here. Joe from Leeds, hi. Thank you for getting involved today. If anybody else has got any questions, do feel free to ask them now. As well, if you've got a small business, if you are a small business, if you know someone that's got a small business and that's why you're here, even feel free to just drop what that small business is. And then when I'm going through some of these questions, like who talk about me online, I could switch this up to say, if you were a hairdresser, how are people talking about me? Maybe it's on Facebook, on the local groups for your town. If they're talking about you, how can you make it so it's a bit more easier for people to contact you? We can start to elaborate using you as a context rather than just using examples that spring to mind. So do feel free to sort of like get involved in today's session. So which tools to use? So now we've got a solid understanding about this sort of REEN idea about reach, engagement. And we've started to understand what it is to bring people in. Then we understand what it is to activate them and nurture them, the second half of this cycle. We now need to understand, well, how can different tools maybe do this for us? So that's why we then need to start talking about, well, where do I get all this information from? Joe's talking about this magical idea of this REEN system. Actually, I need to have a bit of an idea of how I can bring this to fruition. So we can talk about multiple tools here. We're going to talk about analytics, a little bit about AdWords, a little bit about Search Console, social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. All of these have different analytics that can provide your businesses with questions. And more importantly, we've gone through these in principle, but we'll take you on a little shallow dive into some of the analytics around these. So the tools that you can use here can be social media tools, can be organic tools, can be your website tools, and paid search tools as well. All of these drive and introduce this idea of analytics. And analytics is merely just sort of proving often your gut instinct correct, or not just using your gut instinct to make decisions. Because you can look at analytics and go, actually, this makes a lot of sense. What I was thinking was this, let's prove it. But analytics back up that knowledge, which means now you can use this to make business decisions to help your business grow. So first of all, social media page insights. Here we can see we've got a little example of a Facebook insight here. So here we've got a social media platform. You've got all different ones, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. All of these are basically to see how people are engaging with you on social media and how are they finding you. But what's great about this is like a super handy tool. Once you've created your pages and you've maybe started sharing it on Facebook in local groups, ask your friends to follow you, then start to spread out to people that actually people who want to follow you and engage with you. But that early stage is still important. But once you start to get people coming back, once you start to get people engaging with you, you can now start to consider, actually, you might not have to set up. You might have, for example, a separate website to your social media, passing people to it. But the tools that the social media provides you are free pages for your business. It doesn't just provide you with a free digital platform for your business. It also helps measure your activity. Gets information about your fans and your core audience, who are your fanboys going, well, I follow this page, I interact with this page. But in return for that, you're getting information around who your average fan is. And what's amazing about this is if you've got, say, for example, here, actions on page 10, and it's gone up by 40%. Well, what have you done differently this week to last week? Have you changed the way you've done your videos? Have you done better content? Have you maybe invested in something like Canva to make your content more engaging? Is your content more professional? You've got more people reaching you. Naturally, you should also have more page engagements. You should have more visitors then coming. But all of these simple things to look at are literally just in your insights. What we can do from this now is start to work out, well, I've spent X amount of time on this page to develop this. What am I getting in return? Is it worth my time? And if it's not worth your time, spend that time differently. Do some research, learn about it. But what's amazing here is it literally gives you insights into your page, which now means you can start to learn, actually, well, Facebook alone as a tool is driving this many people. I've got this much engagement. And then you can start to work out your own funnel for maybe each of your social platforms. And when you have analytics correctly set up as well, it will break these down for you. But it won't necessarily give you all of the information that Facebook gives you, which is why it's worth looking at them individually in silo and collectively through analytics. Search Console. So a lot of people, when we start to go into some of these slightly more complex terms, get a little bit shell-shocked. But essentially, Insights come with your social media. Search Console is literally something that takes less than 5 minutes to set up and is essentially a tool that will help you have people find you organically. And it will even list, for example, when you go into analytics and on here, you're paid for traffic, but organically, it will also tell you how many people have found you. It will tell you what days of the week, what times people are finding you, what keywords they're typing in as well. But what's amazing about this is also a little doctor that will tell you errors with your website and help you fix them to improve the chances of you being found, because you've got less errors on your page. You've got more features that Google recognizes as positive things. But what's great about this, again, it's totally free. And genuinely, the first time I ever did this, I was like, wow, how do I do this? Went to YouTube, watched a video, rewatched it about 6 times. Done. You could probably do it less. But the thing is you've got all these tools out there that are totally free to use. How do I install Search Console on WordPress? How do I install Search Console on Squarespace? How do I do it on my own website? All of these things are usually a little block of code or a plugin that you can link it to. And now it will start to put this information into your website, and it will start to trigger some of these responses to give you analytics data. Really simple, really easy. This essentially gives you your organic search results, but you need to link it to do this. Once you've finished your website or very near to finishing your website, put it in. Don't put it in on the early stages when you're still building it, because you can get false positives. And if you're not using the view page feature where it sort of does a test view rather than a real live analytical number saying someone's been on your website, they found you through Google, it can skew your results. So this is something you should do at the very tail end of building your website. So remember, this is an invaluable resource to be able to tell you how well your website's doing, how people are finding you, and percentages, and a little bit of a doctor around your website as well. But an amazing tool that I could not recommend enough to be able to add this. And this also gives you a direct link to the Search Console search engine to be able to say this page is valid. You've made a new page, okay, upload that URL and tell Google it's there. And then what this does essentially is searches your web page with loads of tiny spiders and brings this information into here for you. So just spend a little bit of time researching around this. The next area you can have a look into, again, what's the little trend here? All of these are totally free. These are things you can do, spend a bit of time on, learn from, use it as another channel of communication, use it as another channel of data that you can use to give your business a solid push forward. So here we've got something called Google Business Profile. It used to be called Google My Business, as you can see on here, but I think it's just called Google Business now. Here you can see on the screen is the website for Google My Business. The process for this is super simple. Literally, if your business doesn't already have one of these, go to the address of your business. There's 2 things you can do here. 1, add it yourself. Firstly, check that somebody else hasn't added it, because there's actually something you can do where you can make these for other people. You can help businesses. I've done this for a few local businesses where they've clearly not that tech savvy. I've sat down and had a coffee, and when I've had the coffee, I've quickly added the piece of information from the menu, from the wall, from the waiter, added it to it and said, if you go onto Google, you can claim this as your business. I've done some of the hard work for you. And they go, oh, brilliant. But if you haven't had someone do this for you already, or you're a brand new business, go to Google, literally type in the address where you are, and you can say, add a business. And then you can then add that as your own business, sign up if you just go to Google My Business or Google Business. And then literally you can sign up, add all that information in. They'll send you an envelope to that address. And then once you put that number in to prove that that's your location, you can then also make it so that if you're a consultant, for example, you don't need to know where you live. So you can untick the box that says show my address publicly. But it's a really nice tool for if you've got a physical location or not. And then what's amazing about this, you can then add all your information, opening hours, services, products, links to your website, links to your social media, links to your maybe service hubs. So for example, if you're a takeaway, you can put Just Eat, Uber Eats, Food Hub. But what's great about this is it makes life easier for your end user. They can leave reviews here. They can see your online presence. That might be how they Google for businesses. But what's amazing is this tool now gives you this amazing opportunity for people to be able to find you, get directions, give you a call. So if you ever go into Google and type in, say, takeaway near me, This is the list of all the different takeaways with the reviews next to it. So straight away, if you're not there, you're removing yourself from this option. But what's amazing, it takes literally 10 minutes if you know how to do this. Maybe 25, 30 minutes, an hour, worst case scenario. If you don't, you just go through the different sections and fill it in. I would recommend going onto it, get a bit of your head around it, write a description, making sure your business name's in there, making sure your keywords are in there, going to the products, adding your content, adding the website, turn on the little chat function, add in the Q&As, questions that people will probably ask you about the business so they can get their answer without asking you, hopefully making their life easier to engage with you more. But what's amazing is once this kicks in, it starts to tell you, have people found your business listing? Have people searched for you? Have people rang you? Have people got directions? Have people just seen you on there but not selected you? Have people messaged you? How many people from a certain postcode have engaged with your profile? So now you can start to learn, actually, this postcode and this postcode and this postcode are really popular postcodes. So could I do advertisement in these postcodes to drive up these particular sales even more? So straight away when we start considering this, why are you not there? If you've not got a Google My Business profile and you've not got an actual reason not, do it. And once you've got a Google Business profile, I'm just so used to calling it Google My Business, you can also go to Bing and go to Bing Business. But what's amazing is that what you can do with that is go to Bing Business, click on a button, and it imports all your information from Google. So you don't have to do it again. So straight away, because you spent time on one, you get the other. You get more analytics. And all of these analytics bring you close to your goal of obtaining more customers and more knowledge. But more importantly, more insights, more analytics to help your business strive moving forward. And then Google Analytics, the beast behind all of these. So Google Analytics is basically directly linked to your website, but it measures also where the things come from to get to your website. So when we're talking social media, if correctly set up, which it should be, there should be no issues with this, it will tell you how many users have come from your different social media platforms, from your different sources, your Google Business, your social media channels, your online directory channels. But what's great about this is now you can start to see this overviewing picture. If the only way you can absorb this data was to go onto them all manually, you could still learn, but your time is not being used effectively. Google Analytics brings all this data together like a supervillain of the world or a hero and literally go, this is all your information on a dashboard. What do you want to do with this? Understand it, break it down, and understand how you can do this. One thing I would recommend here is having a look at we're on Getting Started with Analytics. If you go onto online and type in Google Analytics, Google Digital Garage, there's a course that goes into this in more depth and takes you through walkthroughs so you can understand this at a basic and an intermediate level. And there's also the Google Digital Garage qualification that has some of this knowledge in it, but will open your mind into the broader understanding of digital marketing. We're not just about delivering one-off courses. We're here to hold your hand through this whole process. So spend time looking at other options so you can take this step even further. So we're going to have a pause for some questions here. Has anybody got any questions yet? Nope, no questions yet. Do feel free, guys. I know I'm saying this and I want you to get involved, but I would love you to get engaged in today's session. The more engagement you get, the more you're going to take away from it. So the user data from Google Analytics. I've talked about this behemoth. I've talked about this hero of a tool, but what can we actually do with it? Essentially, we need to know where data is. How do we put this data together? How do we understand it? If we're going to use Google Analytics as an example, we need to remember, is this the right tool for your business? But the amazing thing is that Google Analytics is so flexible that there's no definite answer other than, yes, this is the right tool for your business. So what information do you want from Google Analytics? So essentially, this is a broad page of information. This is just your dashboard. And straight away, if I saw this as a dashboard, I could literally say, Right, let's have a quick look. So it seems to be on I think it's a Wednesday. We seem to have our spike and the weekend. The most popular days are, yep, definitely Wednesdays. The most popular time, sorry, on a Tuesday here it says, the most popular time is approximately 10 p.m. And the least popular time is about 4 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday. So straight away, and I can't even see these pictures clearly, but what I can see is that this page alone is just a snapshot. What's amazing, by just looking at this, I can see which page is the most popular. I can see which countries are the most popular. I can see what time is the most popular. I can see the spikes in the traffic. I can see revenue. I can see users. And I'm just glancing at this. I've not even dug into the analytics dashboard. So you can imagine if this is just one dashboard, you can create your own custom dashboards. You can create it so you've got different dashboards for different questions. You could be having a meeting about sales on a Monday, having a meeting about marketing on a Tuesday, having a meeting about products on a Wednesday. And all of a sudden, each dashboard could answer these questions so you can quickly jump in and out of them. But this is what's amazing about this, is that this is just the top level. This is just touching the surface, treading water. We've not even set up the diving board. We've not even done a shallow dive yet. But you can start to see the pure size of this tool if this is just the top level. So first of all, we need to ask the question. I imagine a lot of you are asking this question if you're here. Well, how do I even set up Google Analytics? The simple answer is quite easily. So to get to Google Analytics, just type in analytics.google.com. Once you've done this, you should be taken through to a website, which you can see in the middle of this picture. And you can see it literally says start for free. Analytics is a totally free tool. Once you click start for free, it will ask you some core information about your business. If you're thinking, why does it need to know this information? Again, don't worry too much about this. The reason it wants to know this is so it can benchmark you against other people in your sector. So, for example, if you're a retail business, if you're a IT consultant, if you're a person in Leeds selling bikes under retail, it means it can start to say, okay, brilliant, pass this information to me. And then when we start doing some of the analytics, we can say as an average in this area, you are higher, you are lower. Here's some average recommendations as well. So straight away, what's great about this is that this information you're giving them is going to benefit you as well. You can tag yourself into categories. You can tag yourself into the ones that suit you. But what's interesting is that this is anonymous. It aggregates all of this data and will not let you see this data until there's enough there to make it anonymous. So when you install it, don't think, bam, it's going to work straight away. Make sure it's working. Make sure you test it. But once it's there, you'll need at least 1, 2, a month, maybe 2 months ideally. But a month, 2 weeks is enough, but definitely not a week, 2 weeks. And then once this data is in, it will present itself and say, this is some data. Here's some information about your audience. Here's some information about times. But until it's had enough that it classes it as an average, it means that it won't give you that information. Purely because you could say, I've made a new website. I've not put it online. I'm going to give that to that one user who's someone that I'd love to learn more about. And then you could read that exact information flow that they've done. Doesn't want you to do that. That's not the tool for you if you want that. So just consider that the tool is about analytics as an average, using anonymous data from your users to help your business grow. But once you've got it, you've signed up, you've gone through the process, you'll get an email saying, welcome to analytics. This isn't ready yet, but what you have done is done the first big step. You've gotten into this. We then go to the little cog in the bottom corner. And then once you're in here, go to admin and go to properties. Inside here, you'll have a tracking ID and a little bit of code at the bottom. The update to this in Analytics 4 is essentially mildly different, but it has a similar tracking ID and has a similar code. Again, Google is your best friend here. Once you've got this tracking ID or you've got this code, you literally copy this. And depending on what you're on, so for example, WordPress, you can add the Google Analytics plugin, and you can literally copy and paste it into the boxes that clearly say tracking ID and clearly say website tracking tag. and you paste it and hit the word save. And that's how simple it can be. Marginally more complex, you might want to go into, say, for example, the WordPress code and insert it into the header. A simpler version of this could be a plugin where you type in header and footer scripts. It searches it, you insert it into the header and footer script section, it does it for you. If you go onto Squarespace, if you go on to other platforms, just Google Squarespace, add Google Analytics code. I think in Squarespace, it's in settings, inside marketing, and it has a big tab called Google Analytics, and you paste it in there. So if you can't see it, do what I did the first time I ever did this. How do you add Google Analytics to my website? Specify the website type that you've got, maybe WordPress, Squarespace, Weebly, any other platform, and it will literally tell you step by step with a video. If it doesn't make any sense to you, it's too fast, fine, find another video. Do not lose patience with this. The amount of time you put into this is not even comparable to the amount of data you will get out of this. Both financial benefit, knowledge benefit, information about your customer benefit. I could not tell you enough that this is worth investing time in to make sure you got this set up. Again, this is just an example of how you could install this. Literally paste this information into your website. Jobs are good. So once we're on there, what can we do? And remember, this is very similar in terms of how you can find this information on the updated version. But essentially, you'll have blocks down the left-hand side. You'll be able to click on the blocks. And again, if you don't know, click on the block. Analytics is essentially read-only, which means all the information from your website, you can go into analytics, and people get like what's known as analytics paralysis, where there's too much data. They don't know what they're doing. If you don't know, just spend a bit of time clicking on it. Audience, who are they? Acquisitions, how did they find me? Behavior, what are they doing? Conversions, what are they worth to me? And you might think, oh, that doesn't sound too complicated. Now you're saying it, Joe. But when I go onto there, I'm lost. Okay, well, then spend that time. Click on the audience and go, right, who are they? What's Joe on about? Click on it. And then when you go onto there, you'll see a load of subcategories. You'll see a load of different information pop up. You'll see a sub menu pop up. Just click on each one. And if you're not sure, Google, what is audience? How can I use audience in analytics? Spend that time doing that, because essentially what you're doing is you're going through your conversions to work out, have you done this? Once you've set up this, you can set up goals. Once you've mastered the basics, move on to the next level. Start to set up funnels. Once you've set up funnels, start to see how you can link in your analytics data from ads, how you can maybe start to look at Google Tag Manager. But everybody starts at the beginning. No one wins a race by doing the first 10 meters and finishing the last 10 meters. The gap in the middle is how you learn, is how you get better. There's always someone better than you. But there's examples of this online, so spend the time to do this. So data in Google Analytics. The first thing we need to consider is something they call dimensions. And if someone starts talking about dimensions and metrics and analytics, you're like, head blown. But actually, dimensions is the what. So what are we talking about? Let's have a look at your organic search dimensions. Boom. What are we looking for? Your organic search. Okay, that's not too complex. Well, how well are they doing? Well, what do you need to know? Well, what are your metrics? What are metrics? These are just simply the numbers. So what are we looking at? What numbers are associated to them? And then it literally lays these out for you in the simplest terms possible. For example, if you want to find ourselves asking the question, how many? Well, ask that. How many referrals do you get of new users? Boom. Just go to referrals, like on Excel, down the columns, across the rows. Go down to referrals, go across, boom, new users, 1,510. Okay. How many users? 2,363. Okay. And how many sessions? 3,006. So when you start to do this, you can then start to go, well, why does this matter? Well, if you're spending, for example, 3 hours on paid search, you're spending 3 hours on referrals to your website and 3 hours on social media, your referrals are getting you 2,360 users in that time frame, when your social is getting you 435. So because we've got this, we now know that the time we're spending, if it's equal across each of the different channels, and when we're looking at this in dimensions, well, then I need to do something different with this time. Someone that's insane does the same thing and expects different results. So with this, we can literally say, okay, I spent 3 hours on each one of those different channels, and actually, I need to start doing something different on my social because it's not bringing me as many people. But again, I've just told you what the answers are here by asking it simple questions. What is your most popular channel? Organic. Which one brings the most amount of users? Or organic. Which one brings you the least amount? Display advertising. I'm not asking massive questions here of anybody. But what I am doing is just looking at what's in front of me and understanding what are the questions that I can ask. So how can we bring this all together now? So at the very beginning of this conversation, the first time we met online, most likely, I told you this was broken down into 3 sections. Then we started talking about that little acronym REEN. So remember, stick that in your head, write it down if you've not already. REEN: reach, engage, activate, and nurture. So before we get going, we need to obviously start at the beginning. So reach. How are people finding me online? Okay, big question. The answer is not difficult. Go to Google Analytics, click on acquisitions, all traffic, channel report. Genuinely, when you're rewatching this, pause it. If you've got your analytics already set up, if you haven't, if you type in Google Analytics demo data, the Google Merchandise Store has opened up its analytics free for anybody to use. Expert, beginner, mum who's just opened her own business, dad that's just starting off, not too sure what to do. As I say, there's a course that does this as well. So do spend that time searching for that. And literally just go, right, I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to do what Joe said. I'm going to rewatch this video at the end and just give it a go. Google Analytics, acquisition. I can't see all traffic. Oh, there's all traffic. Channel, I can't see it. Okay, take that time back. Push Control and F if you really can't see it. Type in channel. Oh, it's there. How did I miss that? Click on channel report. And now you'll get this right in front of your eyes. And then what we can do with this is have a quick look at it and go, right, how are people finding me? Well, organically, most people are finding me. Referrals, when I passed it on to other sites and I'm paying them to be able to bring traffic to me. Direct traffic, when someone's typed it into Google and comes straight to me. Sorry, when someone has gone straight to your website. When someone's on social, it's come from a social media channel. Paid search, it's come from paid advertising that you paid for externally. And affiliates, where you've linked to another website to pass them a link. And display marketing is a different type of paid advertising where it's more visual. Often it's more brand based. Have a look at our course for what's it called for advertising. 1 second. Advertising. Get started with digital advertising goes into each one of these platforms. So do have a look at that as well. So here we can see we've got a load of information. And we've got a lot of people landing here, for example, through organic searches. But what's very interesting, organic search doesn't necessarily mean it's making me the most money. It's got 7,589 users. But what's interesting here is if you go across to the e-commerce conversion rate, you've got 0.88% of people are converting from organic search. So technically, to look at that, you think, well, organic's doing the best here. But actually, your referrals, where you've literally got someone passing on your website because of a referral, because they're saying, use this because we recommend it or it's on my website. It then goes through and actually over 10% of people are converting there. So although there's about 1/3-ish of the amount of users coming from referrals, the amount of people that are actually converting is 11%. So you're thinking, why is Joe talking about this? Well, it could be that your organic search is doing really well, but could we maybe spend a little bit more time maybe optimizing our referrals to maybe get more accurate people that want to be our target audience to increase that? And now I'm making more money. What am I doing wrong on organic? Why is it that when people land on my website, on my homepage, it's not doing great? It could be because your referral link goes straight through to your services page. Could it be that we maybe make a few more call to actions on our organics page so that actually we get a few more conversions? We make that process easier. And that's what's amazing about this is that from one question, We can go into a whole realm of additional questions, but it's about choosing individual questions that you can action and make a difference on. So reach, how are you finding these people? Other questions that you could ask, identify which search terms are driving organic traffic. So what keywords are driving people to come to your website? Include more of them. Build a strategy around these keywords. Create some content around these keywords. Which ones are driving you the most conversions? Bigger question. Look to improve links from your social media platforms. Develop relationships with referral websites because they've seen that actually I could do with some more links maybe through social media to improve the amount of people coming through, and develop my referral websites because actually referrals are the thing that's making you the most money. So could we have a conversation with the ones who are giving you the most conversions a week, a month, a day, a year? Sweeten the deal for them. Instead of giving you 5%, I'll give you 10% if you can drive more sales. But now you're doubling the amount of referrals, but you're losing 5% more, but still getting 90% more per sale that you didn't get before. Or because you've asked this question, or because analytics is giving you this plethora of information. The next question we're going to have a look at is the engage questions. So what are people engaging with when they find me online? So what are people engaging with? Well, let's have a quick look. To do this again, I'm going to say it again. Pause. Rewatch this at the end. Go to Google Analytics. Click on behavior. Click on site content. Click on all pages. And you can imagine now, if you've not used this before, you're going to use this in the future. You can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 levels deep of option deeps, 4 levels of depth options just to go into. So now you can imagine if that's just one we're looking at, imagine all the other different resources we can pull this information from. So go into here, all pages. Now you can see which are your most popular pages. If you're an e-commerce website, you'll probably find that home and basket and sign in and possibly store, depending how you've laid it out, will be your most popular. But what's really interesting about this is once you go past those few, you'll then start to see, well, which other pages are firing well? Which other bits of content are doing really well? If you're not an e-commerce website, it could be certain blogs are here. So you've got to then ask yourself your question, well, let's click on a few buttons. So let's click on, say, page value or average time on page. And then start to go, well, the one at the top, well done. I've made that page brilliant. But when I ask myself the question, well, which pages are not getting any views? Let's have a look at it. So we can go to the top, click on that button. It will then change the order to what's the worst at the top and the best at the bottom. And then you can click on that. Open that page on a tab. Click on it again. Open the most relevant, highly ranked page. So, for example, your homepage can't be compared to a blog page, realistically. Find the most highly ranked blog, if you're doing that, or product page, and then open that in another tab. Pull those tabs apart and snap them using the Windows tool, or just drag them side by side and look at them both and start to go, well, what's the difference? Well, when I first made the website, this was the first blog that I made. I'm now a year, 2 years down the line. I now make blogs like this. This one is getting traffic. Well, what's the difference? Well, this one has got images, but they're all named with WhatsApp naming conventions because I sent myself the WhatsApp message. I downloaded it on a computer and it's got no optimization. This one has got headers at the top, H1. We've got header H2s. We've got text. We've got thought about processes where the words that I've mentioned in my title are also the keywords that I want people to find me for around those products. I've mentioned those keywords in my images. I've mentioned those keywords in my text. So people are finding this page because they're typing in those keywords and it's bringing it up as organic search results. So that's a really good page. But this one was the first blog that I made and it's got no headers. It's got the images aren't correctly labeled. It's got no metadata. I've not optimized any of it. So what do we learn here? Well, this is a lesson. This is the future. Right, let's now use this knowledge to then update this blog. Updating blogs is not a bad thing, but now we can use this knowledge and use analytics to go worst, best. Then start to spend time developing your older content, your content that could be improved, to update it to your new knowledge. And the more you learn, the more you can apply to this. So again, engage, a really good way of doing this. Discover what's really engaging to your visitors, seeing which pages is engaging, how long they've spent on those pages. Again, worst, best, compare them, improve them. Have you got video content? Have you got audio so you can listen to it? Have you got it disability enabled? So have you got it so you can actually have people using page readers? If you put images up of text, the page readers can't read it. If you've got text, the page readers can read it. So start to think of this. Discover what we lose a lot of people at, maybe the payment page. So could it be that you get 1,000 people coming to your website, 150 people engaging, 100 people going to your payment gateway or getting to your payment page, one person doing it? Something's going on there. It could be that you've not got PayPal. It could be that you can't pay without giving too much information away. Look at options then to improve that payment page, to make it easier. Have a guest checkout so people don't have to give you their information. Oh, it goes up by 10 every month. Start to think of different ways. Could we add Klarna so that you can pay in installments? It goes up by another 10. But you will never do this until you go through analytics to do this. Activate. So what channels is driving you the most bookings? So we looked at before the first half of this. So you can see here, we're starting to look at the first half. We're looking at the raw information. It's great to look at this, but actually we also need to consider, like I said before, if one of them is bringing you the most amount of traffic, traffic does not make dollar bills, does not make you money. But without it, you can't make money. But it's great if you've got 1,000 people a day coming to your website, but no one's buying anything. What are they doing? Is it because you've not done it correctly? Is it because they're there just to browse? If you were a retail shop, you wouldn't want 1,000 people coming to your store and just lounging around in it. You want them to buy things. You'd be like, out of the shop, please. You've been in here for 2 days now and you've still not bought anything. Paying customers is what we want. So activate is very important. We go to acquisitions, all traffic and channels. Again, very similar information, but now we're focusing on this last section. And it shows you how many people have bought things on those pages. It's shown you what are the most popular bit of content under which channels. Take it one stage further. Identify which referral sites. So when you've got that last one and it's got referrals, brilliant, click on referrals. It will then take you through to the next section and tell you where they're coming from. Now improve that conversation with those referral sites. The ones that aren't doing very well, have a stern conversation with. We've currently got 25 referral partners. I don't like to have more than that because I like to manage them. At the moment, you're in the top, you are in the bottom percentile or the last 5. I want to make sure I'm optimizing my percentages. So therefore, we're going to give you an opportunity to work with us and to learn more about each other to improve this over the next 3 months. And if it doesn't improve, unfortunately, we may need to change partners. Makes perfect business sense. But without going into this, you'd never ask that question. For referring sites, bringing good quality traffic, can we develop the partnerships that are? Look out for underperforming referral sites. Have this harsh conversation like I've just said. But again, activation is all about the money. Look at which pages are doing well and bringing in sales, which products are. Test the ones that aren't. Like I said before, that Wellington boot, the button didn't work. It wasn't the fact the page wasn't right. There was an error on the page. Spend that time using these to see which are going bad, which aren't, which channels are going bad, which aren't, which ads are going well, which aren't. And that then means you can just spend this time every week, every month, every whatever you want to do, just developing your knowledge and developing these questions. Because these questions give you answers that are going to affect your business. And last of all, nurture. Are my customers happy to leave a review? And you might think, what a strange question. Well, the thing is, you can find this out. Go to conversions, e-commerce, customer reports. If you set up your behavior on this well enough, you can literally see here, we've got 206 people get through to the billing and shipping page. Amazing. 99 people go to the payments, but only 9 people leave reviews. That's still a decent, that's 10%. What you could do here is go, right, actually, how can I improve the amount of people getting to the billing and shipping? And small differences can make a difference. I remember once when I was in the Google Digital Garage in Manchester, we had a physical location for 18 months. We had a few across the country a good few years back. And what was really interesting was some of the results and some of the experts that came in. And we actually had someone from We Buy Any Car who was the, what was he called? I don't know what his name was, but I mean, his job was basically to improve the graphical user interface, to do some testing of the website. And one of the things they had was something called add to basket. But it's quite committal, the word add to basket. And he did a bit of a test. And he changed the word add to basket to compare car. Same difference. You put them both in a basket and you can compare them. But if you put compare car, it then meant you added it to a basket, and in there it was called compare car rather than basket. And it meant that more people added it to the compare the car feature than the basket by about 24%. And there was big numbers of people coming to this website. So let's just say a normal website is 1,000. To their website, it could be 10,000, 100,000 a month. But you saw a 24% increase in the amount of people. It could have been more. It was a few years ago, but I remember it was in the 20s. Increase in the amount of people that clicked on that button and added something to the basket because the wording was slightly different. So imagine that now, where if you had, we increased the amount of people that got through to the billing and shipping page by tenfold because of a small tweak in what you've done. Analytics can help you do this. But now you've got 1,000 people going to the billing page. Now you've got 500 people going to the payment section. And then the review section. How can you get more people to do this? Thank you so much for your purchase. Here's a place to leave a review. Follow this. No. Give them a link to make it as easy as possible. Would you leave a review as well after you've just bought a bike? Or would you leave it a few weeks or a phone? So it could be that you get people to do it. Once they've done it, you leave it a few weeks. You have an automatic thing linked to your website, maybe using something like not MailChimp. That after so many weeks, it goes ping, send them an email saying, I hope you really enjoyed your purchase. Hopefully so far everything's been good for you. Would you mind leaving us a review? Give them a link straight to it. If you leave us a review, could you please mention the product name, where you got it from, the area you're based in, and what you thought about that product? You're leading the horse to water. You're asking them to use the keywords you want people to search for your products in the review. So now we're not just getting more reviews, we're getting better reviews. It's persuading more people, creating social proof. You can then advertise on your social media, bring in more people for your social media channels, improve your social media engagement, improve the amount of people clicking on those, going through to your website. And you can now see how this cycle is perpetual. All because we've spent that time developing our knowledge, spending that time, spending 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, an hour there, not watching Netflix, not binge watching Stranger Things and going, let's binge educate ourselves. And I'm going to beast this course this week. I'm going to beast that course next week. Give yourself a break for 2 hours and binge something else. Walk to the park. But by balancing this time with your knowledge, you're returning this in many different ways. And that's what's great about these questions. Get genuine feedback from people we know about our products that just bought. Respond to all the reviews, good and bad. Try a different way to encourage purchasers to leave reviews. All because you can see how many reviews you got. See the different way you do it. Does it get more reviews one week, less reviews the next week? Could we tweak the way that it doesn't? But now we've asked these questions. We've taken these questions forward. Without us spending this time going through this presentation, without you deep diving, shallow diving, even just treading water on analytics, you'll never spend this time. But you've taken the step to be here, to expand your knowledge. So I applaud you for that. I started there once. It is a scary place, but spending that time is more than what a lot of other people have done and more than a lot of what small businesses don't do. And this is why we hope you've come here to learn. What are your next steps? Spend a little bit of time here. Learn a little bit about analytics. Burn some time on some courses. Look at the analytics for your website. Once you've done this and you've jumped over a few hurdles, you've covered the bases, you've gone past the basics. Now you can start to move on to more complex questions. You can start to get stuck on something. Now is the perfect time to set yourself up for a mentoring. You could click on this link, go through to it and book one now, but give yourself the goal by the time you've got there, this is set up and you know what you're doing. If you book one for next week, your analytics is going to have no analytics data. If you've already got the analytics in, book one for next week, but try and answer a lot of these questions. Try and learn and develop. So by the time you get to that one-to-one mentoring session, you can ask questions that are going to get you over the bigger hurdles. The one-to-one mentoring session is not about doing the work for you. It's about using somebody else's expertise to take you that step further. So take that time to click on that link, sign yourself up, and give yourself the next big step forward. And one thing we always say with business is give reviews, give honest feedback. But here's an opportunity as well for you to give us some honest feedback. If you could go to goo.gul/digital garage feedback. Dowell today was an amazing moderator. I'm Joe. I'm not going to say I was the amazing presenter, but I did an all right job. If you could go on there and give us some feedback, tell us what you thought about today's session. Could we improve it? What topic areas would you like to see? Did I talk too fast? Was it too slow? Or did you enjoy it? And could you share it with your friends? #Digital Garage. Share your experiences with us. Thank you so much, everyone, today. Dowell, as usual, a pleasure. Have a good day, and I hope you enjoyed the Google Digital Garage today. Goodbye.